The film opens with best friends Abby and Rachel on a road trip to a retreat. As a song plays in the car, Abby fondly recalls memories of Shawn, her childhood best friend. Abby finds the idea of an adult summer camp absurd, but Rachel insists it's a lifestyle wilderness retreat they both need. Upon arrival, Rachel is thrilled by the stunning scenery. They're greeted by Chef Mason with spinach juice. Despite Rachel's dislike for spinach, she accepts it with a smile, clearly smitten already. Randy, the lively manager, greets Abby and Rachel warmly and leads them to their room. At dinner, Abby is stunned to see Shawn and quickly points him out to Rachel. When Rachel tries to approach him, Abby stops her, insisting Shawn is the worst and should be avoided at all costs. Wonder what went down between them. Suddenly, a loud gong from Randy grabs everyone's attention. With great enthusiasm, he delivers a welcome speech and directs guests to sign up for activities down the hall. Abby cringes at Randy's over-the-top speech, prompting a couple, Barb and Bart, to reassure her it's just his style. They reveal they come to the retreat whenever their marriage hits a rough patch, which seems to be often. After Abby returns to the room, Rachel signs up for Chef Mason's class and proceeds to hide the list so she'd be the only member. Rachel is a really funny one. Shawn approaches her just then, asking about Abby. Though Rachel informs him he's to be avoided, Shawn shares that he and Abby were childhood best friends and admits it's nice to see her again after so long. Back in the room, Rachel presses Abby for the story behind their fallout. Abby explains that Shawn abandoned their longtime plan to travel the world before college, a dream they'd shared since they were 11, leaving her waiting at the bus stop on the stipulated day. That became the end of their friendship. Later, Abby and Rachel head to the horse riding field, an activity Rachel signed them up for. Barb and Bart are also there, but their heated argument spooks one of the horses. Shawn, who happens to be a veterinarian, quickly steps in to calm it down. During the ride, Shawn tries to reconnect with Abby, but she shuts him down and redirects the conversation to Barb before riding off. The next morning, Abby and Rachel attend a high rope course, only to find Shawn there too. Things take a turn when Shawn freezes halfway up due to his fear of heights. Despite instructor Lucy's encouragement, he can't move. With no other option, Abby decides to climb up to help him. Lucy warns the ropes aren't designed for two people, but Abby reassures her, joking that the camp's meager meals have made her light enough, and she climbs to assist him. Abby carefully reaches Shawn and encourages him to move his feet. When she asks why he signed up despite his fear of heights, he confesses he saw Rachel sign Abby up and joined to get a chance to talk to her since she's been avoiding him. Abby reassures him they can catch up once they're back on the ground and urges him to keep going. With her help, they make it safely through the ropes, leaving Shawn overjoyed and likely swearing off rope climbing forever. As the group moves on to the next course, Shawn and Abby share an old inside joke from high school, giggling like kids. Rachel watches in confusion, unsure how the vibe between them suddenly shifts. The next morning at breakfast, Rachel teases Abby about her rekindled bond with Shawn, suggesting she might have feelings for him. Abby denies it wholeheartedly, claiming it was just nice to spend time with him again. Rachel isn't convinced, certain Abby has a crush on Shawn. During the goat yoga class, a bizarre mix of yoga and goats, Abby and Shawn skip the yoga entirely, playfully distracting Rachel instead. Afterward, Rachel reveals their next activity, a talking circle where participants share their feelings with the group. Abby and Shawn are less than thrilled with the idea. Shawn proposes a sunset hike instead, and Abby eagerly agrees. Once Shawn steps away to prepare, Rachel expresses her frustration, disappointed that Abby isn't taking the carefully planned courses seriously. To appease Rachel, Abby agrees to join the talking circle and asks Shawn why he stood her up, promising Rachel her full attention the next day. Later, on the hike, Shawn and Abby share details about their lives. Shawn is a vet, while Abby is a public defender. Shawn marvels at the coincidence of ending up at the same retreat and admits he just wanted a vacation, prompting Abby to question his choice of getaway. Mid-conversation, Shawn suddenly trips and falls flat on his face. Clearly, hiking isn't his strong suit. After making sure he's okay, they both laugh it off and continue the hike. At the yard, Mason offers Rachel a strawberry juice and offers to join her in the talking circle, which she gladly accepts. Meanwhile, on the hike, Abby asks Shawn why he stood her up. Shawn, thinking she already knows, finally admits it was because he was in love with her. Abby is shocked by this, and Shawn is stunned she never realized. When Abby asks why he didn't confess, she hints he might have liked her answer, leaving Shawn speechless. The moment intensifies and Shawn leans in for a passionate kiss. As the sun sets, Shawn and Abby lose track of time and prepare to head back, only to find two separate paths. With Shawn's cell reception down, they both decide to follow the horse tracks, hoping it leads to the house. Meanwhile, Rachel and Mason enjoy themselves at the talking circle, as Randy entertains the group with horror stories. As it grows darker, Shawn and Abby realize they're lost. Shawn suggests setting up camp, believing wandering will make it harder to be found. Though hesitant, Abby agrees. Using survival tips from reality shows, Shawn builds a fire and reassures her that someone will come for them. However, the next morning, Abby wakes up to realize they are still in the forest. She tries to wake Shawn, who sleepily murmurs Bridgie's name, their old high school classmate. Abby is shocked upon learning Shawn dated her. At the house, Rachel grows worried about Abby and confides in Mason. They check Shawn's room and find it empty, leaving Rachel alarmed. In the forest, Abby confronts Shawn about Bridgie. He admits they broke up and suggests building a large fire to attract help. Frustrated with waiting, Abby storms off to find her own way and phone reception, leaving Shawn behind. Back at the house, Rachel and Mason inform Randy about Abby and Shawn's absence. Rachel insists on organizing a search party, but Randy explains that forming a search party could cause more problems, assuring Rachel he'll contact the right authorities. Meanwhile, Abby, still wandering, leaves a candy wrapper on a tree, hoping someone will find it. Feeling restless, Rachel confides in Barb and Bart and asks for their help. Barb agrees, offering her knowledge of the area from their regular visits, and suggests getting more people involved. As Abby climbs a hill, she loses her footing and tumbles, screaming as she falls. Shawn hears her cry and rushes to find her, calling out her name. Abby lands in muddy water and, ironically, receives a reminder on her phone for her spa mud bath session. Shawn finds Abby in the mud and bursts out laughing at her predicament before pulling her out. Meanwhile, Rachel, Barb, and Bart manage to gather 4 more people for the search and split into pairs to cover different trails. Before leaving, Mason hurriedly joins Rachel in the search. Upon arriving at a clearing, Rachel is convinced Abby and Shawn watched the sunset there. When Bart finds an unopened candy, Rachel panics, certain it belongs to Abby, and fearing a wild animal must have gotten them. Mason reassures Rachel there are no wild animals, calming her before she can spiral into a panic attack. Back by the stream, Abby washes up while Shawn picks up her candy wrappers, teasing that she must have a hole in her pocket. Abby feels devastated that Shawn picked up the candy wraps she'd left as a trail, but he insists no one will take them seriously since it's just trash. Abby urges him to leave it, then comes up with the idea to catch a fish, as their stomachs begin to rumble with hunger. Shawn, now a vegan, refuses to eat fish, revealing he became one after becoming a veterinarian. Meanwhile, Mason and Rachel share personal stories about their parents, but Barb and Bart are already tired from walking. Just then, Mason spots a candy wrapper, and Rachel gets excited, believing Abby is still alive. After much effort, Abby and Shawn finally catch a fish. Abby convinces Shawn to take a bite of it, but he can't swallow and spits it out. Shawn suddenly suggests they follow the stream to reach the one near the retreat, and Abby eagerly agrees. As they walk down the stream, Abby becomes frustrated about being lost again and argues with Shawn. She angrily calls him out for standing her up years ago, revealing how hurt she was when he sent his mom to meet her after hours of waiting at the bus stop. When Abby learns that Shawn's mother has passed away, she immediately softens, offering condolences and embracing him in a warm hug. Shawn admits he came to the retreat to feel alive again. Abby wonders if it's helping, and Shawn confirms it is, though having her there is also a plus. In the quiet moment, Abby opens up, sharing that the stress from work has led her to isolate herself. She confesses she's become as mean as her mother, but Shawn reassures her that she's kind-hearted. He reveals he always hears her voice in his head when he's struggling, leaving Abby touched. As the sun sets, it's clear they'll be spending another night in the forest. Randy eventually catches up with Rachel and her group, reprimanding them for breaking the rules. He informs them the other group has returned to the retreat and insists they follow the rangers back for the night. However, Rachel and Mason choose to keep searching and sneak away. Back in the forest, Shawn tries to start another fire, but Abby screams in fear when she spots a snake, stumbling and spraining her ankle. To make matters worse, it begins to rain heavily. Shawn helps Abby to shelter under a tree, and the reality of their situation hits Abby. She admits she's scared and losing hope, but Shawn reassures her, suggesting they take things one step at a time. Meanwhile, Rachel and Mason, wearing raincoats and using flashlights, spot another candy wrapper. Rachel feels excited that they're making progress. Shawn eventually opens up to Abby, revealing he stood her up because he planned to confess his feelings on the day of their journey. However, when he saw her kissing Dylan, her ex, he became angry and felt like a fool. Abby reveals that if only Shawn had stayed a bit longer, he would have seen that she told Dylan off. Shawn deeply apologizes for leaving her, and Abby apologizes for not answering his calls or letters. She confesses that she misses him every day, leading to a romantic kiss as the mood intensifies. The next morning, Abby is woken up by a sound and feels excited when she realizes it's Rachel and Mason. Rachel is overjoyed to see Abby alive, and they all help her out of the forest. At the medical center, Rachel admits she has feelings for Mason and asks Abby about Shawn. Abby explains everything, and Rachel believes they are true lovers. However, Abby disagrees, giving reasons why things won't work with Shawn. Rachel sees them as excuses and urges Abby to listen to her heart this time. The next morning, Shawn tries to talk to Abby about making a relationship work, but she feels they were just caught up in the moment. They live in different cities and lead different lives, so Abby believes nothing will work between them, leaving Shawn disappointed, although she's glad they've reconnected as friends. The next day, Rachel suggests signing up for courses since it's the last day, and Abby surprisingly agrees, leaving Rachel amused by this new side of her. Later, Rachel goes to Shawn's room, only to find out from Lucy that he's left the retreat. Rachel is shocked and informs Abby, who immediately concludes that Shawn is just like before, running away at the first opportunity. Rachel tries to understand what Abby must have said to Shawn, prompting Abby to open up about their conversation the previous day. Rachel lovingly points out that Abby has a habit of not opening up about her feelings, making it hard for others to understand her. She believes Abby uses a defense mechanism, always seeming to have a bad time, and urges her to let people know how she truly feels sometimes. Abby is touched by this and gives Rachel a warm hug, apologizing for being closed off. She realizes she needs to reach out to Shawn. Meanwhile, Shawn, who's driving, gets a call from Abby, but sadly ignores it. At the retreat, Ryan leads the talking circle and asks everyone to share what they're thankful for. Abby goes first, expressing gratitude for Rachel. She thanks everyone and admits that although she never wanted to come to the retreat, getting lost in the woods for 2 days has been an eye-opener. While filling up his fuel tank, Shawn gets a moment of realization at a convenience store. With the help of the attendant, he decides he shouldn't let Abby go and must give their relationship a chance. On the last night at the retreat, Abby is surprised to see Shawn back in the house. She asks if he's responsible for the dance night, and he admits he had some help. He asks her for a dance, and she happily agrees. Meanwhile, Rachel and Mason join the dance floor, sharing a sweet moment that leads to a kiss. Abby apologizes for struggling to express her feelings, and Shawn apologizes for how he handled things. Abby admits she wants their relationship to work, which prompts Shawn to reveal he's planning to move to LA to be with her. Abby is deeply moved and surprised, and Shawn assures her he'd do anything for her. Finally, Abby confesses she's in love with him, bringing joy to Shawn. In the heat of the moment, they share a passionate kiss, with Shawn reciprocating her feelings and leaning in for another kiss, both embracing their love.